everybody, and welcome back to the Amazon EU Masters. We're getting ready to go into our 5th game of the night, which is going to be Anorthosis versus X7. Anorthosis off their first win of the group so far, and X7 off their first loss of the group. Let's see who's actually got the momentum and who's going to be able to pick this one up. Golden Toast had that amazing start at the beginning of the day, and then just kind of fell apart, unfortunately. But he had a really good start in that lane. We got like 4-0 on the Tristana, and you were saying, this is done. This game is over. And then suddenly it just wasn't. So I'm going to be excited to see, you know, how these two match up, because Anorthosis look like a real threat, and X7 off that last game, it looked like a bit of a joke.
Yeah, I think LDLC got a bit of a rude awakening against Anorthosis earlier on, where they're like, hang on a second, this Tristana is starting to pop off, and we need to start finding picks to make sure that this game isn't getting out of control, and started playing the map well against them. And I think that's where Anorthosis really started to kind of fall apart, where they couldn't answer a lot of the map play. And I think when you've just come off the back of a big win over Ago Rogue, you're gonna have to make sure as X7 you have your wits about you, so Anorthosis aren't just building up this massive early game lead that you can't fight back against.
Alrighty, well, we're into the draft. Let's see what's going to get picked up here. Anorthosis obviously starting it off. Curious to see if Attila just continues to get the Zeri banned against him. We know it's one of his most comfortable pickups. I actually spoke to Attila at the NLC finals, and he was saying when he plays Attila, he plays with all 4 fingers on Q, because that's how many times he presses it. He says he presses on average Q 1,000 times per game or something crazy. Absolutely bonkers how much that guy presses Q. Anyway, we're seeing the Lulu, the Renata get banned away, the Pike coming in from X7. Their final, they're not their final ban, the next ban. Not going to be dealing with that Belveth. Don't want to deal with that anymore. That was pretty rough for them in the final game. I'd like to see a Sejuani ban come out from X7, because I think they struggled versus the Sejuani really hard.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see, because Viego's been the main ban that we've seen against Anorthosis as well. Towards Daglas, right, it's been the Pike, Belveth, Viego pretty consistently. But I think the problem is, like, for Chasy wants to try and play these more carry-oriented picks, like we've seen the Yone and stuff like that. Sejuani does well into things like the Ornn, so if you try to go for the tanks, it can be a little bit more tough. But I think the problem for X7 is more so a case of, like, having consistent damage from their bot lane so they can play in towards those strong fights. I think that was the reason Sejuani was just able to take over more so. And with just the Draven banned away, you still got like Kalista, Zeri all up and available here that X7 could try and go for and make sure they're going to be comfortable in that bot lane.
Alrighty, well, the Sejuani is open, like you said. The Viego has been hit, and there's a Yuumi first pick. All right, X7 have to take the Zeri here then. Yeah. They can't give Yuumi Zeri over, but they are thinking about something maybe aggressive here in the bot lane, and they're going to lock in the Lucian, so I'm assuming a Nami will follow. They don't have to lock the Nami. Okay, I was going to say they probably didn't need to lock the Nami in there and get themselves like a nice jungle. They just go straight for that bot lane, and I feel like Anorthosis, here comes the Zeri. X7 have to snowball this bot lane.
Yeah, you really do need to, and I think that's the big thing, is that you've kind of put yourself on a timer here. One of the big things with Zeri is that you need someone who can lock her down. Nami, not really that pick, so you definitely want something that can kind of lean into that more. Hey, I can lock down the Zeri in team fights, and we'll have to see exactly what they want to go for. At least the Sylas going to be taken early by Tempt, so one of the big picks that we're calling for in their last game, and looks like with the amount of like ultimates available between the Yuumi and also the Sejuani, he's happy to go for it here.
I'm somewhat shocked to not see a Vi get picked up here for X7. Yeah. It's just like an instant answer to the Zeri. Then you've got yourself a very good like bot side with the jungle coming in to help. Instead, they decide they'd rather go for this Sylas. There's quite a few decent ults for them to steal away. Kind of comfortable as well. Also a flexible pick. You can, you know, put that in the top side if you really want, depending on what goes up top side. I mean, they are assuming this Sejuani goes top, but they can, remember, flex into the jungle. So keeping that open for themselves. We'll see what the rest of this draft is going to look like as the Trundle is taken away. Yeah,
I think the big thing from here for X7 is just kind of its call out against Anorthosis. Dominant could take something like DZR into it, but he's actually struggled in these matchups. We saw him struggle against Ica. So I think Tempt kind of saying, look, I'm going to get a good strong pick here. I don't think Dominant can really bully me out of lane, and then we can have this Sylas go into the mid game. But as you rightly pointed out, Hip Rating with no jungle ban going towards the Vi, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
I think you can just go for the Vi here.
Yeah, I think
the reason I blanked there was I can't call you Jake, like I usually call you Jake, and then I went to call you Asterix because that's the other Jake I regularly work with, and I was like, no, I can't do that either.
I know it's too many Jakes now. One of us will have to. I
work with Jake, Jordan, Jason, and it just all goes out of my head. And Joe, it all just goes all over the place. It's a disaster.
I don't have that, luckily. Actually, I'm alright. I just have the hat goods, which start telling them apart at times, even though they look nothing alike. Sometimes just when they're talking, they're an argumentative pair. They're an argumentative pair, those two. It's hilarious watching them. Once they get a beer in their bonnet, they go at each other for hours. It's brilliant. Anyway, let's get back to draft as the Fiora gets picked up in response to the Aatrox here for Chasy. I'm assuming the Vi will show up unless there's something I'm totally missing here for Viking. Actually, I feel like that would suit them, but we'll see what's going to get picked up as the mid laner here for Anorthosis, because that is definitely going to be a Sejuani in the jungle. And no, I'm wrong. That's gonna wait. Hold on.
What? Is it a Vi? It's a Vi mid into the Sylas?
It's Vi or Fiora mid or Sejuani. I mean, one of them.
So the problem is, like, I like the thought process from Anorthosis. It's like, hey, look, let's go something funky. Dominant used to be a jungle main, so obviously he's played the Vi in his past, right? The problem that I'm seeing is that it's a takeaway of the Vi, so Viking can't play it. But now you've given that ult to Tempt. So it's just like, you still get the same problem, right? Like, you still have the same issues. Now you get the Poppy for Viking. Like, it answers so much of what the Anorthosis wants to go for. And one of the big things I only recently learned recently as well, thanks to Kelsey Moser, is with how busted Aatrox is at the moment, this Fiora isn't actually the best of matchups in these early stages. You really need 2 items before you can actually take over that matchup, whereas previously you could kind of take over from the get-go. So you've actually got, like, strong pushing top for Chasy, Tempt in a matchup he's going to be totally fine with, and then you've got Attila and Kasing as well, who should be able to control bot lane. So X7 have a ton of pressure here, and actually maybe we are mixing things up with Fiora mid. Yeah, interesting.
So I've not seen a Fiora mid since I played it and realized it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Into the Sylas, I guess it's slightly better than, like, if you're playing it into a mage or something, because it is a melee matchup. You can catch out on his chain lash because it's very telegraphed. It's quite a slow moving projectile, so you can riposte it. I'm huffing a little bit of copium on that, if I'm going to be completely real with you. I do worry that they've got a lot of AD drafted as well. Yes, Zeri kind of is a mini Lux on her W. It's also on, you know, very short cooldown. But I do think if we just go back to what you were saying, they've given Tempt to Viol. Like, and they also get a Poppy. These are 2 things, like Poppy and Viol are 2 of the best ways to handle a Zeri. So they kind of just accidentally gave Zeri the best of both worlds here.
Yeah, and that's my biggest problem with the draft here. Even, like, just looking at the mid lane matchup, like, Dominant, yes, you can riposte the Abduct, but the problem is that, like, you don't actually have to immediately throw that out as Tempt, right? So you can actually get up real close and personal, use your Kingslayer, use a bunch of your passive damage, and then throw out the Abduct. But you're not really going to want to fight as Tempt anyway in these early stages. You're just going to chain lash, you're going to wait until you get to the mid game, and then you're going to look for team fights. Because the problem with the Anorthosis is that they, in theory, have set up this great team fight for Zeri with a Yuumi attached, great engage with the Vi, with the Sejuani, all the front line you need, and then it's Fiora, like, who doesn't want to actually be in these team fights. So it's just a weird addition. And it felt like they were trying to be too clever with the draft and be like, oh, we'll steal away the vibe, but still actually kind of giving Tempt the cease and desist regardless.
Gonto's getting a little bit of damage over the wall, but not really too much to threaten X7 as they're going to be able to steal away this red buff. Question is Daglas just going to be able to split the map in half? If that is the case, Chasy, who was unfortunately kind of isolated in his lane last game, will have to continue that trend going into this next game as well. So, going to be interesting to see, you know, how the map state will go down here. Whether Viking just beelines to his own red to make sure he gets that. He could get a drive-by gank onto Dominant if he wants as well. Dominant right now is kind of stuck in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to try and basically just... Oh, well, I thought he was going to try and run through onto his top side, because you should have Chasy, who should have push and top side, but Viking actually just looking to split the map, so trying to make sure at the moment that Attila and Kasing can hit that level 3. Lucian, Nami, not exactly the strongest, like, pre-level 3, really wants a full access to that kit, that full rotation of shots, and also just getting as many of those spell slinger shots off as possible.
Wait, it actually looks like Daglas might not go red side. Okay, I think he is now. Okay, he's just a little bit slower to the play on that, but he is going red side. May just go top lane. The ping goes down. Daglas actually going to go top side on the other side. Viking is sniffing around the bottom side, but both of these lanes are a little bit underneath their tower. But Golden Toast, you know, he has just got that Yuumi, so it's fairly easy to select the right target with the wave crashing in. This is going to be a big one. So Viking doesn't really have to do much other than just threaten this dive. Gontos has to play very respectful. He's getting himself caught. They're going to lock him down. The Poppy makes sure that there's no reattach available. First blood to Attila. Meanwhile, Chasy burns the flash on the top side and is able to survive as iLevi needs to be careful. This might be one dead kitty cat. He gets slammed into the wall and Attila gets his second kill. Kasing tanks the tower for the team as well. Really, really well executed play from X7.
Great play from X7 on the bot side, making sure that they were able to try and just manage that juggle really good. And also Chasy on that top side, flash away, made sure he didn't die as well. He just managed to survive that dive that came through for Adiss and Daglas as well. So overall, massive win off the bat from X7.
Yeah, really, really smart play coming in from them overall. Daglas obviously able to burn Chasy's flash. Big for them. Will take away the red buff. So the map will still say somewhat split. But as you can see here, Viking, beautiful flash wallbang.
Yeah, immediately getting in onto Golden Toast. Not even giving him the opportunity to flash away from the initial stun. So all that burst damage comes down. And Levi, he's trying his damnedest here. He's trying to predict when he's going to get charged into that wall. Ends up using the zoomies super early, thinking maybe that can help him survive. But unable to do so. And now 2 kills on towards this Lucian. Serrated Dirk already in the back pocket as well. There's going to be a lot of early damage.
Oh, good stun underneath the tower. Tempt is down. And Dominant flashes away. Tempt just a little bit too greedy. This is what I'm saying. With the abscond abduct, you can get a very easy riposte off on the Fiora.
Yeah, especially when you don't have Viking there to support you and you're going to throw yourself in underneath the tower. Tempt getting himself caught out, and that'd be at least something nice back for Dominant in that mid lane as well, but still, we'll just be able to clear out these wave and then reset TP back into lane unless he goes that bit too far forward.
I don't think it's going to happen. Here we go, the replay. It's such a... you have time to press that W and aim it correctly. It looked like a good trade for Tempt, but he's maybe just too early, to be honest.
I think Tempt actually had to throw it even earlier. I think he needed to do it before Dominic got underneath the tower, because one of the big things with the riposte is it is a self route as well, right? Yes, you get the stun in the opposite side, but it would have held Dominant in place long enough. Viking can get in there, Kasing can get in there, and he's not going to take all those terror shots as well. So it might have just been enough to get the job done, but ended up drawing it that bit too late. Gives the kill across to Anorthosis, and it starts to at least even up what was a pretty sizable gold lead starting to accrue for X7 thanks to the difference in this bot lane.
Yeah, it was a, you know, it's the shoulda, woulda, couldas, but at the end of the day, it does go in favor of Anorthosis. They're 300 gold up for Dominant in the mid lane, but bot lane, 1,100 gold, and that is that Dirk and extra longsword coming into fruition right now as Golden Toast may just have a Poppy sneaking about, as they are aware that something's up. They've brought Daglas down as well. Viking will reveal himself, and they're aware. Golden Toast gets caught out immediately. They're jumping in. He flashes over Daglas's Q. The bubble connects onto Daglas. He flashes under the tower, but they can just continue the chase up. Can they get the kitty cat on in time with the shields? Yes, they can, but it doesn't matter. iLevi not like this. Kasing maybe a little bit too low to take the tower, but the bubble comes in. And that is one sad cat. Viking takes the kill.
4-0 already for Attila. They were angry after the last game against LDLC, and they're going to make damn sure that they're picking up the win here. And I was going to say, you know, he's gone for serrated Dirk. It's going to slow down his spike on the Gale Force and the Imperial Mandate. I mean, he just has 4 kills. He's going to be fine.
That's a very, very scary Lucian, Nami. You want them to snowball. You want them to get ahead so that they can play this lane as aggressive as possible. You were talking about this to me, actually, when we were watching the first games. You're like, once that the Mandate Gale Force is in, it's scary. It's very, very scary. Obviously, somewhat dissuaded by the fact they've now got the Serrated, so it slows down that path, but it doesn't matter when you get the 4 kills early. And this bubble from Kasing was beautiful, followed by the one he got onto the onto iLevi later as well. Kasing was he just didn't miss.
Yeah, I mean, Kasing played this really well. Like, obviously the bubble initially, immediately attacking the tower as well, so they can easily get the play. But overall, like, everyone in X7 just kind of outclassing Anorthosis on the spot side. Viking with a great steadfast presence. You got Attila with the flash over Daglas. Kind of just left Anorthosis' head spinning. And as you say, like, nearly the Gale Force already completed despite this quick pit stop for the serrated Dirk. You're like, everything is going the way of X7 right now.
Only they had this in the last game, they'd still be undefeated, but unfortunately...
All right, salty NLC caster. All right,
yes,
I get it.
Yes. I'm not even going to deny it. That was a rough game to watch. This, on the other hand, definitely a little bit better. And Anorthosis, who honestly have looked good in their previous 2 games of the day, get a little bit lost in this game. You know, even in their loss at the beginning, Golden Toast got very, very fed on the Tristana. And yes, they crumbled. No denial. But, you know, their game versus Go Rogue, the second seed from the Ultra Liga, they slammed them. They looked really, really good. I mean, they didn't slam them. It was a very close game, but it was a very fun game to watch. And they look to be challenging and matching whatever team they play versus. As Viking gonna pick up the Herald, and Adiss gonna pick up a whole bunch of damage. Is knocked out as Tempt will throw his own ultimate onto him and pick up that kill. Daglas will lose a Gromp as well as a top lane here. Herald in the pocket of Viking. We'll see where he decides to go with it. Maybe just into the mid lane and just get even more gold injected into Attila, who right now is in mid, but is actually going to make his way back down to bot.
Yeah, they moved Attila and Kasing up, which at least may give at least a turret plate over towards Golden Toast. But I think the best move here is actually just have Attila pushing this bot wave. Viking off reset comes into bot and just take bot lane turret, move it over to the dragon as well that's up. Like, fully abuse the fact that Attila is so large in this bottom side of the map. And looks like Anorthosis want to try and beat them to the punch, though. They're playing sneaky.
They are playing sneaky. Attila does have cleanse. He's going to immediately get everything thrown onto him. The healing comes down, throws out the culling, getting a lot of damage put in. A good tidal wave comes down. Attila actually tries to get a bit more damage off. The flash away from the Q. Dominant's coming in. Attila goes down. Shut down for Dominant. Able to pick that one up. Kasing unable to save the day. It's 4 members swarm the bot lane.
And Anorthosis find a really nice window there. They know Viking is just reset after doing Rift Herald. They take that little bit of time that they have and play for that bot side. Golden Toast does have to burn his summoners to make the play happen, but you still get a massive shutdown onto Dominant.
Oh, Tempt now being hunted here by Dominant, but is able to slide away in time. Plate does go over to him. Attila back on the map now with that Gale Force. Viking actually just can use this opportunity while all of Anorthosis are on a reset to turn his attention towards this dragon and pick this up for his team. And then maybe then we'll see him go bot lane, try to take these plates with the rest of the team and just inject more gold into Attila, because yes, he went down. And yes, that gold did go over to Dominant, who's now 2-0. Tempt taking the fight versus Dominant. He's almost got him. It's so close, but they're healing each other up. The kitty cat comes in. Chasy's here, though. Same with Kasing. And X7 just going to be able to force Dominant away.
Wait, Dominant was low in that play? What happened? Because that was so much healing from the Zoomies in the Grand Challenge. He's totally fine now, but it does mean, again, Dragon goes over. Now you've got Golden Toast being zoned off a bot side because they know that Levi is in mid lane. So X7 will manage to get more gold into this, but here comes Daglas.
Oh, Tempt's going to get himself chain CC. Does have the flash. Is going to be able to jump away. Doesn't even need to use that Kingslayer to heal. Meanwhile, bot lane tower goes down. And Attila should just be able to get a second charge here as well. This wave is built up heavily. Probably won't be able to take the tower. Although a lot was used from that jungle support duo. So Attila may be feeling quite comfortable, especially with the fact he's got Kasing in with a wall back, in with a bubble chain CC. Kitty Cat will fall as well. Kasing, to be honest, he deserves that kill. He has landed so many bubbles, and Golden Toast now going, uh-oh. Is able to get the teleport through, and maybe Attila can take this tower before the teleport even completes. Nope, Dominant will make it in time, but it's a wasted teleport. Tower still goes down regardless.
Yeah, Dominant wasn't even sure he wanted to be here after that teleport completed. Immediately tries to get out. Chasy should be fine here. We'll have the Infernal Chains back in a second. There it is.
Yeah, able to get a lot of damage actually out onto Adiss, and maybe it's Adiss who's actually gone too far. Chasy maybe getting a little bit of revenge from that previous game versus LDLC. Getting some damage onto the Sejuani. We'll get the Gromp. No, he won't. Daglas is here. Wait, Daglas just has the cat. Like, iLevi's just given up on Golden Toast entirely. It's like, I'm the jungle support now.
I mean, you've already got nearly 2 items completed on towards Attila. Like, I don't blame him. And I mean, here, unfortunately, Daglas just not expecting Viking to be in the bush. Levi is like, please come to the wall, Golden Toast. But giant tidal wave will wash that one away. And then at least Golden Toast does manage to escape, but I mean, this is just, again, X7 putting their foot down. They're like, hey, we've got control on the map. You committed too many resources to try and kill Tempt in mid lane. We're just going to be able to take this.
Yeah, Attila, like, almost 2 items, but that's the rated Dirk he bought on the first back isn't even going towards this next item. He's going for the rapid fire cannon, so this rated is just pure stats that he's been sitting on, so that gold lead he's got is just, it's so phenomenal that he can be this far ahead and, you know, a component towards another item and almost finished with his second item at the same time, while Golden Toast hasn't finished a single item.
And you just got the Imperial Mandate for Kasing as well. Like, he's now hitting his spike. Like, he hadn't hit the spike and he's already got 5 kills. So now you just start to look at like, oh, well, you know, another Rift Herald coming up in a minute's time. Cool, we'll take that. And then we can use that mid, crack up mid turret. Might stop off for a quick Cloud Dragon on our way out as well. Like, it just becomes so easy for X7 to start to play out the map state how they want. And I mean, what do you rely on for Anorthosis? You've got a one item Fiora, who's the only one who's really any sort of threat. And again, Dominant can't really play for team fights. He needs to play side lanes, and your side lanes are very quickly disappearing as Anorthosis.
And Attila just got more plates as well. He just took that tower with plates on the top side. So even more gold injected. He's almost 5 grand up on his opponent. He is so fed. That is a terrifying Lucian to deal with. And, you know, I feel like Anorthosis don't have any answers. You can turn your attention towards scaling, but, like, you have a Fiora mid. You don't really have that much wave clear as the game goes on. And on the other side, you know, a more traditional team comp, they've played to their win conditions and they are set up for a victory here, and probably just looking towards that that match versus LDLC to try and lock themselves into first, or they'll be cheering on a Go Rogue in the final game of the regular part of our broadcast for today.
Yeah, it definitely feels like at this stage that Attila was like, oh, I could like, oh my god!
What? That's criminal! What?
I was about to say, like, Attila could rub salt into the wound by taking all these extra plates, but instead he's just using that gold to open a salt mine. He's just destroyed Anorthosis here.
That was bonkers damage. That was like a Syndra ult. Oh, he's actually getting jumped onto there. They're going to throw everything onto Attila. He cleanses. He's low. They pop him down. Attila is shut down. The kill secured by Daglas there, but they won't go out without a fight. Looking for some revenge. And Adiss is the victim of X7's wrath there.
Dominant might still be in trouble, though.
Oh, they catch him, but they're not going to chase.
No, they're just going to move back over towards the Rift Herald. They know that Adiss is dead. I mean, Attila is going to take a while to get here, and you do have Adiss with the TP, so they do need to burst this down quickly, which looks like they will do so. Dragon up in 10 seconds as well. I feel like you need to start resetting here as X7. Look to move over towards that Dragon, because at least the moment, like, yes, Attila's huge. But you've also got a very short-range composition on X7's side, so things like Baron, things like Dragons are ways to, like, force fights out of Anorthosis, so they can't just slowly but surely turtle up and get this Zeri to a massive point. So it's forcing these early Dragons and, like, not allowing that extra 5 minutes is actually going to be pretty important for X7.
Yeah, you're completely right on that front. As we are at that 15-minute mark, and X7 are very comfortably in the lead right now. Even with Attila going down there, he's building an Infinity Edge. The Serrated Dirk still isn't turning into an item. He's so strong. So, 5.5 grand up over Golden Toast right now.
But that's the thing, right? Like, this is going to turn into a collector eventually. But when you're killing people so fast, the collector doesn't really matter. So why not just go towards the Infinity Edge?
Oh, Tempt getting chased here is going to use himself his own grand challenge, but he's struggling to proc the vitals. Is going to eat a little bit of damage. His teleport's coming in. Tempt, can he get it off in time? Yes, the healing. Tempt able to find the fight. It's Chasy going low. Viking gets the wall bang down. Daglas will lose his life. iLevi trying to get to the piggy, but unable to do so as Adiss thinks he's away. But in comes Attila for X7 and gets a massive culling down. Down he goes. X7 take out 4 members of the side of Anorthosis.
I wasn't sure they were just going to crack open the base there, but I mean, it's 17 minutes. They're not going to bother. They know that they'd end up just giving a bunch of gold over towards this Zeri. You can farm up the super creeps, but I mean, they can do what they want here. They've already gotten the majority, like the outer turrets are already down. You're only looking at the tier 2 in top, in mid. You can take those whenever you want, realistically. Baron isn't even up. Like, they're just so incredibly far ahead. Like, it's not even 18 minutes into the game. It's nearly a 10,000 gold lead.
And we'll have a look at the fight once again. It looked like Tempt actually was under some real threat here, but just able to survive thanks to the grand challenge himself.
Yeah, and I think the early use there of the riposte gives Tempt so much pressure here. You can see he manages to land the absconded duck, gets the Kingslayer, gets the healing, so he's all good. And Chasy and Viking just in a great spot. You've even got the wave pushed in mid, so you've got the bot lane from X7 who get to rotate over first. Adiss just gets peppered down, and I think at this point, you probably could have actually looked to crack up in the bot lane turret, not take the inhibitor, but at least get rid of that inhibitor turret. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm taking like tiny grievances here. Like X7 are just absolutely dominating. Like I'm fishing for straws here. I'm not gonna lie.
They are playing respectfully, knowing that this win here may decide whether or not they have a tiebreaker versus LDLC. If they somehow throw this game out the window, if LDLC win, then they are just locked into second. So they want to make sure they are set up with the best chance possible, and also probably the cleanest mental going in, because losing that game to LDLC, probably hard loss for them, and will definitely force them to be they get deal with this Herald. They're just quite happy to give their
so they want that inhibitor go down, because it means that then Golden Toast can just start farming the super creeps that come in, and that's why you're seeing them just leave it. This is usually a plan pre 20 minutes, because realistically you can't like force a Baron while that inhibitor is down. But I will say that like it's 19 minutes. It's getting kind of close.
Adiss loses half his HP to Attila. Attila now has the Infinity Edge, by the way, so he is scary. As Daglas gonna go for the old Traderino on the ults, but it's a 3 versus 2, and I don't think Anorthosis are ready for it. Viking bops them into the waiting hands of Attila, who's found Dominant. Dominant's health bar is liquefied to Attila, as there is nowhere for him to go. Attila, damn sight better on the AD carries than the mages.
Yeah, this Lucian's working out a little bit better than Syndra, and X7 feeling themselves after that last game. And I think this is honestly kind of what they needed. Get a little bit of a confidence boost back after LDCLC's game. And especially if, you know, we get the win here from X7, we get the win later on from LDLC, we will be seeing those two teams face up against each other. So having that for X7 is going to be very important for that later tiebreaker.
Absolutely. Well, Baron, sorry, that's a bit weird looking dragon. Baron does spawn up, and X7 are in the area to take it. Like you said, it's hard to deal with the dragon Baron, especially when there's a wave pushing against on the other side. But you know, X7, this is a fed Lucian. This is a very fed Lucian.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, you know the way like Rift Herald is a scuttlecraft that got caught in the void and then transformed into the thing it is. What if Baron is a dragon that went into the void and then just came out with the way he is? What if that? I don't actually know the lore of Baron enough to like dispute
I think he's from the void. He's you know, in D&D terms, he's just a purple worm, isn't he?
Yeah.
But oh, Chasy. Oh, Chasy, actually, and Dolan doing some significant damage, catches him out. Chasy, that was a optimistic teleport, my friend, as you are taking down Dominant. Able to do a lot of damage, but here comes Attila. They're looking to locking down the final chapter. Tempt has come in, he's stolen away the Sejuani ult himself. Looks to catch people out.
Oh, the bubble
and a half coming in for Kasing. Jumping onto Attila. Daglas goes, but he leaves his cat alone. And Attila, his damage is skyrocketed. Able to just absolutely mop up everybody on the north. There's 2 members standing. Super minions in the base. Baron on X7.
Look,
I think this game's going to be a very quick one.
Chasy knew what he was doing. The greatest bait in the history of baits. Pulls everyone from Anorthosis out. X7 are like, don't worry, we got this. They take the kills. They're going to take another inhibitor for themselves. And I don't think they can quite end here. I don't think they can brute force us with Adiss in 10, but that's already 2 inhibitors down. They back up for Dragon, reset, play for mid inhibitor, and they're going to be all good.
I think they're playing for mid inhib, actually. They don't have teleports, so Attila does have to be careful because there is no backup, but yeah, he's just going to back off now. He's still able to do a lot of damage to that tower as Golden Toast comes in. Viking hit to block. Viking takes a lot of damage, flashes away. The catch on to Kasing. Kasing going low. Adiss also going low. Will take full down to the side of Attila. Dominant in on the flank, and Dominant immediately regrets his decision. A triple kill picked up for Attila. Golden Toast is trying to slide away. Attila's trying to get himself the quadra kill. He should be able to do so. Quadra kill over to Attila as he's hunting for Dominant. He's hunting for the pentakill. Attila with a penta!
This Lucian was huge from start to finish. The penta will knock it out of the park, and with that they will take the last inhibitor and they will take this game.
They come back after a catastrophic loss to LDLC It does not phase X7. They have their eyes firmly set on first in the group, and there is nothing Anorthosis can do about it. Another dominating game from the X7 squad, from the second seed of the NLC, as they play with their food on the fountain before closing this game out. They've got Baron, they've got it all. They got 25 kills in a 23-minute game, and this is going to be game to X7.
They'll continue to pat the KDA for just a little bit, but that is it. The game over. I mean, you're 15-2-4. Who needs to pat a KDA?
That was I mean, we've come on and we've just had two very one-sided games today. It's but that was a much needed recovery from X7, and you know, Anorthosis, I was singing their praises because they have looked good today. This game, definitely a blip on the radar for them. They did get their first win, and yes, they are now done with the overall group stages. But you know, I think they can do themselves proud on the way out. They had a good game versus LDLC. They had a good game where they obviously beat a Go Rogue, and then yes, this game's rough, but overall. But we're gonna actually speak to Attila, fresh off a pentakill after that game. Attila, how are you feeling after that one?
Feeling pretty good. Like it was a pretty decent closure of the group so far. Even though, like, I probably think we're gonna have to play tiebreaker against LDLC.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask about the tiebreaker versus LDLC. You know, how are you guys feeling about that? Obviously, we didn't really speak to you after the draft, after that last game. That last game versus LDLC just went catastrophically wrong. You know, do you feel that you've learned from your mistake in that first game? And you know, realistically, when we do get to that tiebreaker, do you feel like this game's going to be more in your favor?
I mean, it's always going to be hard to beat LDLC. I think like they're probably like the hardest team to beat on these U Masters. Like we have a lot of respect for them. After all, they won twice LFL, right? And they reached finals last season of U Masters. But I think we can do it. Like we did it once. We also like had a really bad early game. It was catastrophic. You know, I think like before, like even on the Herald, like when it's technically quote unquote free Herald, we reset it and then everything is kind of awkward. So I do believe if we actually don't puke ourselves on the early game and we actually have like a draft that we were just comfortable with, I think we have a pretty good shot at making first place in the group.
Yeah, because I think the draft, I think when you faced up against each other in the first one was a really solid one. I really liked the first draft you came out with, like having the Gwen come out and then being able to play through the Ore, and it felt like you had a really good read on what LDLC were trying to bring to the table. So do you think, again, I think this was like the game against LDLC, unfortunately, the Syndra just didn't quite work out. Like, have you got a new game plan, or are you expecting to bring out something a little bit unusual like the Syndra again, or are you going to try and revert back to maybe something a little bit more standard?
I mean, it depends a lot, right? I think like the Syndra is a really good counter pick into Draven. I think like I had a pretty good early game. I think my mid game, like there were some fights where the QE was not landing, AD carries playing mages, right? But yeah, I think like it depends a lot on what they're planning when they're going to face us, if we face them on the tiebreaker. But I do believe like either we have a normal draft with the classic front to back or just teamfight composition into them. I think like, or if we have like a not so usual draft, I think if we just play it good and we play our style and our game, I think we can beat anyone.
So you guys have obviously, you're guaranteed to make it to playoffs. First and second is, you know, up in the air at the moment. But as we look towards playoffs, are there any teams that maybe caught your eyes? Teams that you might be excited to play versus teams that maybe you're nervous to play against? You know, what do you feel? What are your thoughts on the playoffs and the teams that will be making it?
I mean, I think like it's kind of straightforward. The teams that I see like that are going to make it out, like the Group D, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that was played yesterday, and the two teams that I expected to pass will pass. I think on the Group C, Heretics and BDS will pass, and I think on the Group A, UOL and Vitality will pass most likely. So from those teams that I think that are going to pass, the most fun one to play against will be Heretics, because you know I got benched, you know, like last played from LVP, so I just want to remember to make them remember who's the best one from there, and then from then onwards, I will say that it's gonna be probably like the French teams coming one by one, and I just hope that we have enough on the tank to take them all out. So.
Well, good luck with that, Attila. Congratulations on a very dominating win in your final game of the group stages. Obviously, potential tiebreaker coming up, so good luck if that does come around. And hopefully we'll be speaking to you on the winner side of that interview. We'll see you later, all right?
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, guys.
Dagda, that was a very one-sided game. We've had, like I said, 2 very one-sided games. It's really cool to see, finally Attila, after that Syndra game, whipping out the Lucian with the Nami, and just Viking just camped the hell out of bot lane. This was painful for Anorthosis.
It felt more like what we expected to see from X7 with them like being able to find plays around this bottom side. I think it's been something they've been very good with when Tempt is on things like the Ahri, where they are actually able to lean into that bottom side, but not even needing that this time around, just playing super well around that execution and making Attila that carry.
Yeah, Attila was just, he got the pentakill, yeah, but he was set up for success. Also, Kasing was an absolute demon on the fish. Like, he was just landing so many bubbles. He was just consistently setting his team up for success. And, Viking and Kasing were the 2 crucial parts that allowed Attila to have the game he did have here. I had my questions about this Fiora mid. He's always been a bizarre player in his champ pool. So he, caught me off guard with this, but genuinely looked not awful on it. I think, Fiora mid suffered from what Fiora mid suffers from, where, eventually you just don't have a wave clear person and Fiora wants to side lane. But even so, mechanically, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I do love the idea of Dominant handing over a business card that just says Garen Jungle, Fiora mid. These are the kind of things that he's become well known for. But I definitely think it was an interesting take on it. I think you kind of saw the problem with it though, is that Fiora would like to try and play side lanes a little bit more, but when you fall this far behind, it's so difficult to. And I think it was just a really good execution on the side of X7 to understand how they can set up the map in these early stages, so then you can't really abuse the fact that, Zeri and Yuumi could eventually take over a game. Like we saw Viking very early go for the invade, making Zeri and Yuumi uncomfortable. They can't contest level 1, level 2. So now you get to a point where Lucian and Nami take over the game, or take over the lane, and then they're ready to take over the game. You see it there. Zeri nearly did as much damage as the support.
That is a phenomenal amount of damage coming out from Attila though on the other side. And overall, just, what can I say? Bot got fed, and that's how the game went. Unfortunately, it's almost quite a hard game to break down, just because, it's one team got very fed, the other team struggled, and that was pretty much all she wrote. A very, very solid game coming in from the side of X7, but their competitors, LDLC, will be having to play versus a Go Rogue in our final game here of the day. And if a Go Rogue beat LDLC, X7 are guaranteed first, LDLC will go into second. But if LDLC win this game, then we will have a tiebreaker between these 2 teams.
Yeah, and I think that's going to make it very interesting. We basically get the best of 3 already between the NLC second seed and the LFL first seed, kind of giving us a taste, it feels like, of what we might come to expect over the course of our next playoffs.
Well, it's gonna be a good game. I'm very, very excited to see how this game's going to go down and if we get to that tiebreaker. But before that, it's time for a quick break. When we're back with LDLC versus a Go Rogue.